with John. It's just
No,
like,
I,
oh
I,
my
I
god.
completely understood. I messaged him immediately. I'm like, dude, I feel so bad. Like,
Oh, I mean,
so
he
bad.
had oh, like I think he got stuff done last weekend, but he had like John Cameron Mitchell who directed Hedwig. He had
Mm.
to interview him the same
Oh,
weekend that happened. It's
God.
like what? It's and as we had a whole bunch of recording lined up for ourselves as well. It's just like it's just all in the wind now. But hopefully it'll settle down fairly
Yeah,
quickly. But
yeah, take the week off and get your head on straight, and I don't blame him.
yeah,
I can't blame
yeah.
him for that. Yeah, I told him that. Like, take the week off. I'll get you on the Blanket Style show in a few weeks when we get closer to AEW pay per view, and we'll get it
Just
all.
wait for Mighty Ducks 4 whenever that's coming out.
Oh, this is my last season of this show. I am saying that for a while. I said at the very beginning, this is my last season. I'm not doing the TV show. I'm not doing the animated show. I'm done after this. I'm done.
Oh, fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah, because they're doing a Disney Plus series
Oh,
sometime.
I did.
Yeah, sometime this year. They didn't say a date. They just said sometime this year. But it's got to be close. They had a trailer, so it's got to be close.
They're looking at Cobra Kai, and like that could be us.
Oh my God.
Look at them! Look what they're doing.
So much too. So I love it. I'm not even a huge Karate Kid fan, and I love Cobra Kai. So like,
Well, yeah,
that's
I think I recommended that show to like I was talking to everyone. They're just like, I've never even seen the Karate Kid. It's like you don't need to have seen the Karate Kid. Like you,
it's great.
like you'll totally get everything that's happening. Just like it explains it to you as it goes along. So it's great.
All right. Go back into Cobra Kai. I can talk Cobra Kai for like another hour, but I don't have time for that today. But I'll leave that to Karate Kid Minute, guys. I still listened to their show today, talking about the episode they did. I still listened to it today. But it's so busy doing other things. All right, I got my notes up. I got the movie up on my screen here, and I as I always do with you come on the show, I section off like an hour and a half of my morning to do a show with you. So as I always do when you're on the show. But you know what?
Hopefully it won't be that long. Hopefully.
The way the season's been, you probably won't be the longest show this year.
Oh, okay.
Because I've had I'm doing shows with two people on it. Like the people combining shows, and those shows have been long. I've had long shows this season already. Oh man! All right, let me get everything up. We'll get started in 3, 2. Hello and welcome back to D5 The Mighty Ducks, the podcast where we discuss the 1996 Disney hockey sequel D3 The Mighty Ducks, 5 minutes at a time. I'm your host Blake. Let me bring on my guest, this week's all-star, Niall McGowan from Bat Minute. Niall, how are you doing?
Oh, fine, Blake. Happy to be here again to talk about the continuing adventures of the Mighty Ducks.
I know the always confusing title of D5 The Mighty
Ducks.
Yes,
as it is known over here, D5 3 : the Mighty Ducks are the champions : Coda : the death of the Mighty Ducks.
You just gave me a title for this show. Oh, we're not even a minute in. You gave me the title for this episode already.
Oh, there you go. That was happy.
All right. Well, before we get into this, we asked this before, but have you actually seen this movie before now?
Oh yeah, I've seen this one more than the other two.
Okay.
This was, at the end of like school term when they'd wheel in the TV and they're like, we're not doing any work.
Of course.
We'll put on a video. And D3, The Mighty Ducks, was like the most common one put on.
Really?
I don't know if the school budgetary thing or something, but it was like, we got Mighty Ducks. Like, the first one. No, not the first one. We got the third one. And so because of that, I think I saw this one first. And like when they would Gordon Bombay would come on and have this real reverence for this guy. I was like, who's this? Who the hell is he?
Yeah, especially because he's not really in this movie much.
Yeah. So you watch at the start, it's like, okay, there's this guy. And then it's like he shows up and he's like, they seem to be really into this guy for some reason. I don't understand what his deal is. And then through process of elimination over time, it's like, okay, that's all right. Now I get it.
I can see where that'd be confusing if you watch this movie first. You have no idea what's going on and why. Why are they here? Like, what are going on?
It's so well. I'm sure you've talked about it already, but like the ages of everyone in this is like it's so bizarre because it's like particularly as well because people who listen to Bat Minute will know spent like we spent so much time that last season taking the piss out of the fact that like Chris O'Donnell was playing a teenager, but he was clearly about 30 years old. But now you watch this and it's like, holy crap, Joshua Jackson's like a full adult now. He looks as if he's grown up immensely.
I know.
And then the other kids have stayed the same age. It's crazy.
Talking about that because as I've been joking in this whole season, he's almost becoming full-grown Pacey Witter as this movie continues.
It's so weird now looking at it in order, because that opening scene with him and Gordon is like he is taller than Emilio Estevez at this point. Like
it's so weird. He had a weird growth spurt between movies, and I don't know when it happened. Like somewhere.
I just kind of thought like unless they wanted to make that apparent, but you think the director might have been like put Emilio up on an Apple card or something because it looks weird now seeing this.
I mean, I kind of get it. But again, they're supposed to be freshmen in high school. Like he says he's 14. Like early, he says his age. Something like that. He's supposed to be 14. My son is 12, and he's growing like a freaking weed. So I can completely understand the logic of growing fast. I get that. I grew my sophomore year of high school. I skyrocketed like almost a foot. So I fully understand. Like,
but the bizarre thing though, like, because one of the things we'll be looking at in these minutes. And again, you might have mentioned it already, but I was just like, what is happening here? But like, because Michael Kudlitz, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name, Michael Kudlitz or Kudlitz.
Okay.
He's 32 at this point.
I know.
And it's like, how did he even did he lie in the auditions or something? Like the fact that, because I mainly know him obviously as, Walking Dead, but then, oh yeah, he was that guy in Grosse Pointe Blank. And that's the next year. So the next year, he also plays a guy who is going to his 10-year high school reunion. And within the space of 12 months, he's going from playing a high school student to a guy who's 10 years out of high school. And it's like, what agent did he have? Like, did anyone question him? Or was it just like, oh, guys, yeah, he looks fine. Yeah, go ahead.
The funniest part, one of the main characters over on the Varsity, on the Warriors, is actually Gunnar Stahl from the second movie, who's like the biggest villain in that movie. He's one of the Warriors in this movie. And I did not know this until now. I did not know this until a few weeks ago when I was doing research with on the show. And I'm like, wait, that can't be the same person. Like, how is that the same person?
It's gonna be a low blow though. Let's say like if you're like going from playing the main villain to like second tier background guy, you're looking at that main villain like
it's the third tier, because there's the main guy, and then there's the second tier where it says the jokes. And then there's the third tier. He's third tier.
Oh man. But I will also note as well, before I forget, because I know when you sent the show notes, you're like, if you could wear a D5 t-shirt, or if you have a t-shirt for your own show. I don't have a Batman t-shirt because like I draw out all the stuff. So I'm like, why would I order a shirt? But I have the originals right over here. But I did probably wear one. I got here. This is a picture of Tony Soprano, and there's a duck on the shirt.
Nice.
So I thought I'd wear it to go in the theme at least.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna let my wife cross behind me so that I can edit that out of the video.
No problem.
Hi, honey.
Just keep that up as like a thing. Just have her going back and forth the entire episode.
I'll probably, you know what I'll probably end up doing? I'll probably end up taking that out and just putting it up as a little video on my personal Instagram page. I do that a lot. Like there's a video of her dancing behind her dad on a video clip like 6 months ago on my Instagram page. I do that a lot. Anyway, all right. So let's actually get into our minutes because we are in the middle or near the end of the prank war that has been this movie. The middle of this movie. And I don't know, are you like weird about bugs? Are you weird about bugs? I'm not. I know my son is. So
I'm not at all actually, and it's weird because again, a guy I know is absolutely terrified of spiders, and there's times like when we lived together, I had to he'd call me into his bedroom to chase a spider out of there, and he'd be like, a guy in his mid-20s. And like, I'll be just like, oh, I think it's gone, whatever, about to go back to bed. And he's like, you can't just leave. It's still in here somewhere. And he'd be absolutely petrified. So no, but like it's weird now because he's also got a little kid. And we're at war while I'm trying to tell that kid, like, don't be afraid of bugs. Like, there's nothing to worry about. But his dad's always like, anytime he sees them. So it's like this weird tug of war we got going on. But no.
Yeah, before we get
I'm pretty sure I'll be bothered by the antics of the Mighty Ducks, as it were, in this scene. But like, just as on principle though, the seeing a bug wouldn't freak me out. But
Okay, cool. Well, I just wanted to throw that out there. Before we get to the ants, I do have to note that this is the most cowboy we will ever see Dwayne in the entire franchise. They set I feel like they set this joke up for an entire movie and a half because he's always doing the lasso bits in their games or in their practices. So they set this bit up.
This is like Marvel level of like you establish it one movie, and then in 5 movies time you get the payoff to like who this guy is.
I know.
So this is like we have the lasso, and in the 3rd movie we'll have him do a Lone Ranger bit.
Well, that's part of the beginning of the movie. They set up that there's horses here. Like they set that up in the opening frame of the movie. So I'm like, okay, cool. We have horses. We have a cowboy. Let's do this joke. Why not?
Oh, that's the weird thing. That was like, just when I first saw the clip, though, I was like, oh my god, is this like what weird timing? The recording it this week because like you see like, oh yeah, the Lone Ranger. Who was the guy who played the Lone Ranger the most recently? Oh, it was Armie Hammer. And now it's just like, oh, what's Armie Hammer been up to recently? Like, oh god, he's been up to some stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like almost as scandalous as the life of Goldberg in recent years as well. It's like oh, the D3 season is just marked by controversy.
That is weird. That is very strange. But we do have. I just want to know, like, the fact that I need to know if Dwayne, the real guy, knew how to ride a horse this well, or is this practice beforehand? Because did he come in knowing how to ride a horse this good? Like, it's such a great move. Because I remember, like, in Newsies, where they had Christian Bale ride a horse for the first time, he had no idea what he was doing, and so they had to like show him how to ride a horse in that movie. But like, here, he looks like he knows what he's doing.
I know that's a thing that like. That's kind of like one of those famous actor stories, isn't it? Where it's like, you know, you just lie in your CV and then just like, oh yeah, horseback riding. Yeah, I can do that. And then all of a sudden the day will come where they're like, oh yeah, so it says in your CV you can do horseback. And I'm like, oh god. So I don't know, like that might have happened to Christian Bale. I don't know, maybe Dwayne does. Maybe he's like, oh yeah, you know, he's a true Southern boy. He's like, yeah, I've been around horses. I know what I'm doing.
I can believe that. I can totally believe that he knew what he was doing going into it. But it's just really cool. You know, like he does this whole thing and he hog-ties them and all this stuff and we just move on. Like, it just happened and we just forget about it for a little while.
It's so weird because it's like this little separate plan, like one separate mini prank aside from the big prank that's happening. So it's like, I don't know what Michael Kudlis was doing out. Like everyone else is in bed.
That's the question, you know, where was he, and why was he not with everybody else? And
it could be that like
going in, like did he know that?
Because his character might well be actually 32 years old. He's like, yeah, I've got an actual job I need to go to. Like,
I always want to believe he was out on a date and he's just getting home. Like I
yeah, could be.
It's high school, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, or he's just like, yeah, I'm like a bank manager. Like now I want to getting home now.
Bank manager by day, hockey player by night.
Well, it could have been as well. Like maybe that's why they had the whole thing in there. So it's like, well, we got these horses, and then it's like, oh, doesn't that kid knows how to ride the horse, doesn't he? And he's always doing the lasso thing. You know what? Take this. Can we fit in like a hog tie lasso horse riding joke somewhere? Like we've got all the material. Why not use it?
Just for 25 seconds. We don't even have to do a full bit. Just 25 seconds. We're gonna do it, and then we'll make it a punchline later, and that'll be it. Like that'll be the whole thing. Literally all it is.
I think that's one
for a 25-second bit.
One of my favorite lines in the movie is him running though and been like, they got horses. Like, oh crap! Like now the artillery has come out. They've actually got horses to hand.
I may use that for like Instagram when I put together my graphics. I may put that in there because that's very funny.
Because I was like, you know, I remember at the time when Spielberg brought out War Horse, and everyone was like, you know what would be a better movie? Horse War. And then you flip it around. It's like you just go to war with horses. It's like maybe that's D3 was predicting it already. It's like that would be a pretty cool movie. Do we have the budget to go to a horse war with these kids? Like, no, we've only got the one. But Ant War, we can do Ant War, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get to the ants right now. Well, we're quick because we have the continuing saga of Guy and I almost forget her name, but they get over here and they're dressed like ninjas, and she just has to slam him. I feel like they've been dating now for 2 years, yet they always pick at each other. I love their relationship. Connie, Guy and Connie. There you go. I just remember her name. Guy and Connie. They're always making fun of each other, but they've been dating like since the first movie. So like,
as I was watching last night, like, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? It's like that's like that couple. That's them as teenagers. It's like, oh yes, it's 1 second. It's like, oh, lovey dovey, and it's just ripping each other apart the next second.
Well, what's funny about it, it's really realistic because like every relationship like that, like fine, they've been together for years. It's hidden in the background of this movie. They're still together. Like it's just in the background. Like just forget it's there until the scene. and they don't break up. It's not like they don't break up. They're just together in the entire movie.
I did also enjoy. I couldn't help but be thrown back to the first season of Batman. Because we spent like near enough a whole episode talking about. People will remember Batman '89, the scene where Vicky Vale is trailing Bruce Wayne, and he puts the roses on his parents' grave, the spot where they were shot. Weirdly enough, and the whole time we were just like, "What is this hat she's wearing?" Because Vicky Vale has this very distinct, like it looks. It's bigger than a beret. It looks like it's like a black blob that's eating her head. And then seeing now, as you know, she was going on a covert operation at that point. Now seeing it in Mighty Ducks, like 7 years later, and they got like, oh yeah, she's wearing the same outfit. She's got the Vicky Vale hat on. Like, is this official spyware of the '90s or something?
Maybe it might just be because everyone's dressed exactly the same. Like everyone's wearing these hats, and like the only one is I think Averman's the only one not wearing a hat because he's wearing glasses and it'll probably cover his glasses. Like everybody else is wearing a hat, like protecting.
You got a choice.
Solid black, like it's terrible to me. Like you didn't have to be this covert, especially because you're going to tell them who you are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was no reason for this.
There's no secrecy to it at all, unless you think like, oh, they might see us coming. It's like, well, they're all asleep for Christ's sake. And plus, the one guy who was awake got attacked by someone dressed as the Lone Ranger for Christ's sake. So.
So true. It's so freaking true. So this is where we release the ants, and I love the fact that, and I never caught this until I had the subtitles on, that he actually said, "I got a couple 100."
Oh,
nonchalantly, like I got a couple 100.
I'm happy you said that though, because I misheard. I thought he just said, "I got 100."
Yeah,
and I was like, that looks like you got way more than 100 ants in there.
All it is, if you not have the subtitles on, they're talking about putting them in the funnel. So then he goes and says, I got a couple, pause, and they're talking about the funnel. And they said, 100? Just like that. Just like,
yeah, yeah.
It's so funny. But they drop them in, and this is hysterical to watch because these ants have a mind of their own. Like they don't want to go in this funnel at first. Like, we can finally escape. We can finally escape. Oh my god, this is so ridiculous. I did like a couple episodes ago. We did talk about the fire ants because they came up. They've been playing off these fire ants since the beginning of the movie. They don't really. They're not poisonous. They're not dangerous. They're just annoying. That's really what they are. They're not. There's really no reason for them to really be like angry, except for the fact they may bite you. Maybe.
Yeah,
like, there really is nothing.
Well, it's also the bother. Like how long are they going to be there for? Like even after they defeat the Ducks, spoilers next scene, they have to go back to like ant-riddled dorm rooms. Now.
I never thought about that. You're right. The ants are still there. No matter what happens, the ants are still there.
And at least at least the Ducks got they had the pain in the ass of paying off that restaurant bill, but that seemingly was over in one night because they just worked it off.
Exactly.
So was it like $800 odd? Would you get $800 worth of labor out of them in one night? Like
something like that. I have it in my notes from that episode. I can't look it up real fast.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe they're like indentured to like, oh, that restaurant. You got to come back for like a couple of months. Like,
I'm not really sure how that would work, but it's just really weird when you watch, and then the ants just kind of like, okay, we're gonna hang out here. We're just gonna
Yeah.
hang out. And you know how impossible it is to get bugs out of your house anyway. You know, like it's impossible. Like we deal with fruit flies like all summer because we just
Oh
can't get
yeah.
rid of them.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
impossible to get rid of them. And here we're dealing with ants that are more annoying, and ants are smarter. Like they're extremely smart. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
We had an ant problem one time, one of the houses I lived in. And then I forgot, like, it's the most morbid thing now that, like, every time I get, because we successfully got rid of them without getting an exterminator in. And it was corn flour. And I remember, because I've doled out this very sort of weird, morbid advice to people for, like, oh, you know how you get rid of ants? Is I looked it up one time and we did it. It's like you just lay corn flour around all your cabinets and stuff. And what they do is they take it back to the nest because, you know, they don't eat it there and then. And then apparently corn flour expands inside them and kills them all.
what?
Yeah,
I've
that's
never heard that before.
yeah. It's like
Wow.
we did it one time, and like now every time someone ever complains to me about ants, I'm like, I got just the solution for you. This is how you take care of them.
If it works, it works. You know.
Yep, yeah. I'm like, well, we only ever had them at one time, and they didn't come back. So
Yeah, take that as a life hack, people listening. There you go. Just so you know, I just looked up my notes. It was $857.
I guess
The bill.
I don't really get, like, that's an old trope, isn't it? Like, oh, you can't pay, so you work it off. But like,
That's not real.
presumably the restaurant already has
at all.
KPs who they're paying. They've spent the money on like the food. So they, you know, the restaurants, they've bought those ingredients. That's costing that money. And so it's, I don't get how it works, because it's like, well, you can give the people who will be doing that job anyway the night off, but they still have to get paid.
Right.
And then unless the restaurant's now screwing over, like, oh, your low level employees, like, you go home, we got people to do it for free for the night or whatever.
And
then even like 857, it's like, no way you do that in one night. Like,
no
way.
Even if there's so many of them. I mean, there's a lot of them, but still, you know,
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Like, I imagine you go back, like that Mighty Ducks TV show they're doing now. You come back and they're still freaking fucking. It's like, yeah, but like, I've been promoted to manager. It's like, I'm still doing it for free. I'm still working off that damn tab. But
fantastic. So quick note, I as a Devils fan, I had to point this out, that when all the Warriors get up, one of the shirts, and I noticed it, I never noticed it until now when I was pausing it every couple of seconds as I was going through this. Something you only notice as a Max person. One of the shirts is a 1995 Detroit Red Wings New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup Final shirt. From the 1995 Stanley Cup Finals. That was about a year before this, and that was the series that the Devils won their first Stanley Cup. So there you go.
The Devils, is that the same? Because American sports are literally foreign to me. Like, is the Devil? I just know the Devils is like that Seinfeld episode where Putty keeps wearing. That's them. Okay.
Same exact team. They're my team.
Right.
They're my team. So
nice. Okay.
I'm a Devils fan. I've been a fan since 1994. So I've been with this team for the ups and the downs.
Have you done the face paint and stuff too?
I did. I have pictures. I went to a Devils Rangers game. Me and my best friend did this face paint from one game. I have pictures somewhere. It was terrifying, but we did it. It was fun. It was fun though. We did it. You're talking to someone who went to a Devils, what was the game? Devils Coyotes game. And I got into a fight, an actual fight with an Islanders fan who was drunk and just screaming in my ear. And I was getting sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
And I was there with my girlfriend at the time and her friend. And I just got annoyed. And I turned around and I socked the guy. And the two of us got into this fight. And we ended up getting bring into the back. They always joke that at sports event there's the jail behind the scenes. This is at the end of the game. So they take us to the back and we're in this jail for like an hour. And they quote unquote ban us from the building for life. That did not last very long because, you're paying for tickets. How the hell are you going to ban people from the building?
Yeah.
And the next game we did the face paint thing. And then I ended up working there like 6 months later. I worked at the Meadowlands for a year.
Dude, every day at work, just like that single beat of smoke on like someday they're gonna figure this out.
Well, they found out it was me and they wiped it off my record. It's so funny.
Just imagine one day that they got that the little notice board with all people's pictures of like that, and then one day there's like,
wait a minute, what
the?
He's
Blake, did you put this up as a joke or something? Like, sure. Yeah.
Well, no, so the best part was, I used to be on I'm gonna date myself with this. I used to be on a Devils mailing list
Oh.
for Devils fans, and this sounds ridiculous, people. This is pre-message boards, boards, where we would chit chat during games. We'd live chit chat during games. We literally have hundreds or 200, 300 messages during games. Like we would just chit chat, and it's like a message board. Well, one of the people that was in this board used to do live reports and type up reports and have some fun. Well, he was at this game. I did not realize, because I think I went to say hi to him, but I didn't realize how close he was to where I was sitting. He was 3 rows back, finishing up his notes. Finishing up his notes for the game before he left the building. And he literally said, finishing up his notes, and it's like, addendum. This just happened in front of me with person Blake Riley from the group in here. This happened, and I believe he gave me a 5-minute major and a 10-minute misconduct penalty. That's one of the funniest things ever. I was like, okay, that's great. That's fantastic.
I was good. Again, you like them putting on. I was like, I don't know who it was, and you have to send on the message board to be like, oh yeah, that guy. Oh, he seemed like a piece of work.
Yeah, that's one of those like I dated myself with that one, but I had to tell the story because it's really funny.
But they're all saying like, oh, here it wasn't even justified. You're like, no, it was justified. It's like, you've been weirdly defensive of this guy, Blake.
Well, the other guy got a game misconduct in this report. That was the funniest part. Because I'm a Devils fan, he didn't give me a game misconduct. Oh man. Anyway, we continue on with back to the movie. And the Warriors are going nuts. I love the fact that the extra detail of this prank is the fact that they timed their door knobs. Like, why would you do that? Like, it's so stupid.
One thing you do have to ask though, because you had the subtitles on. A thing I wasn't a fan of was the ants talk. Like you hear them going, like one of them says "yummy," but then one of them says like something because it's they've done the chipmunk voice basically. They've heightened them, and I can't make out what it says. It's just like
actually, there's nothing in the subtitles. I just rewound it. There is nothing in the subtitles to that. That is really funny.
That is the thing is, because somebody had to go to the effort of recording that, so they're like, what? Like that was a day of work to get my voice modulated to that episode. You don't even put a subtitle on for it? Come on.
Yeah, all that's in the subtitle is snoring. That's literally all that's in is screaming. That's all that's in the subtitle, which is so funny. The best part.
Great though. That was like the Emilio Estevez was contractually obligated to go back in for like a third movie, and he didn't want to do it, and then they're like. The one way he got off is like, I'll do the voice of the ants, but you don't get any Gordon Bombay in the whole movie.
I love that headcanon. That's fantastic. I do know. I find it funny that they on the subtitle, because we have them screaming in the hallway holding the rope, and the subtitle says "boys screaming, duck laughing," not ducks, duck.
Like all the rest of the ducks were just like, this is a very solemn occasion. Like we have to be respectful.
Why some of these players, by the way, sleep in their own jersey? I think that's weird. I think that's really strange.
I do love the clearly improvised dialogue of us like, all right, he's like, oh, you're getting up, you're trying to run out of the room, just like, and one of them's just like, open the door, open it. Why aren't you opening the door? It's like, and the other guy's just going, it's like, I couldn't think of anything to say. He should have just screamed the whole time.
You're talking improvised dialogue. Somebody yelled, I gotta wash it off. So stupid.
The thing is as well, like, I don't know if there's some kind of like, honor amongst thieves kind of thing, or you don't rat, that kind of thing. But like, again, these ants now are like they are in the dorms, and they're not going to stay in those rooms. They're going to spread. So this could be literally, if they want to get rid of the ducks, all you have to do is go over to the dean and be like, these guys did this. You have to now pay to get this whole building fumigated, and they stole them from science labs or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like that's instant expulsion. Like clearly you get out of there, have them thrown out in the air in no time. But I don't know if it's just like you don't rat on people in a prank war. You have to keep it going.
It might be what it is. Like it might be the honor among thieves thing. Because nobody gets in trouble for any of this. Like nobody does. They just pulled off all these weird pranks, and no one gets in trouble.
Because you do see it like you get certain movies like I watched recently My Life as a Courgette or My Life as a Zucchini, as it we call it in America. And there's a bit like the beginning, kid goes to like a care home, gets picked on by this other kid, and then when he's confronted, the other kid doesn't tell on the bully, and that instantly makes the bully go like, "Yeah, all right, you get it," and then they become friends. So it's like maybe it is just like, yeah, we're in a prank war. You don't get the higher ups involved. It's between us.
Wouldn't that also be a Cobra Kai, where they are having that big fight in the jail and they did not rat on each other?
Oh yeah, well there you go. That's the same principles. Like you don't rat on people.
Yeah, like I just thought about that. Like that's a good comparison too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Although that's the thing, the Cobra Kai, they had like the freaking the war erupts into a literal freaking war zone in a school. I'll never forget the end of that season. Amanda LaRusso going like, "I hope that Tory girl gets expelled," and it's like, all of these kids would be expelled. Every single one of them. How the hell any of them got back in the next year is beyond me.
The only reason Tori got expelled was because she used a weapon. That's the only reason.
But the rest of it's just like, oh yeah, no, totally fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I do love the explanation of, it's a rule in our school that teachers can't get involved with students fighting. Rule in your school. What? I can't believe that line. What?
That's all season 3 too. Like I don't, not that I don't trust Cobra Kai now, but I know the show now to the point of like you want to sit there going like, I want to hate that Tory so much, but that they'll do a twist and it'd be like the next minute you'll be like, oh yeah, I totally get Tory now. I'm actually on her side.
They did that with Hawk, so trust me, I get it.
So you're just like I can't give myself to hating anyone. Except maybe Kreese, because he's like, oh, I guess he had his reasons, but he's still pretty bad.
Like there's no, if there's one person that you're evil on that show, it is Kreese. There is no redeeming quality in that man. So anyway, Kenan Thompson, second time in this movie, just throws out a line where it's like, wait, what? He calls them all white trash, and he popped his head up like, who you calling white trash? Every time in this movie, he does something like that. Like, I am not white. Why are you doing that? Why are you dealing with these people?
Well, that's like fair enough too. It's just like, hey, it's like, all right. So to be inclusive, the bullies have to be like, oh, you're white trash. You are clearly not white, so I can't just group you all together. I'm sorry, my apologies.
I just want to know if that was improv or not, or that was in the script. I can totally see Kenan Thompson's like, can I just say this because it's so obvious? Like, it's so obvious.
Although I did get it got so many 90s flashbacks watching this because, freaking film 95, I guess, released in 96. And it really did, beyond the fact that, like, yeah, we used to watch this in school on the last day or whatever. Just seeing the prominent Adidas, or I think in America you guys call it Adidas.
Adidas, yeah.
Been on Joshua Jackson's hat. And it was just like, yeah, I remember back in the 90s, like that was like a fashion statement, was that the own Adidas was like, it was a big deal that you had. Like, I think nowadays people wouldn't bat an eye at it, but like at that period, it was really like, oh yeah, if you want to show that you're hot stuff, you show off that Adidas brand.
I know, I say that, you're right. Well, the funny, I know, like for me, the starter jackets were the big in my school. Like, you've got a starter jacket, like, oh my God, you have a starter jacket? What is that? I can't believe that. Little did I know, my grandparents just bought that for me every year. I never paid for a single one of those. My grandparents bought them for me as a gift every year.
And also seeing as well there, another like real 90s throwbacks, like, oh, white kid in a Kangol cap. I was like, no, I think it became known by the early 2000s. Samuel L. Jackson he's a trademark on the Kangol cap. You can't wear that if you're not Samuel L. Jackson.
He made it cool.
Yeah. I was like, and you watch it now, I was like, who is this kid think he is? Like, what the hell is happening here?
By the way, I do love Fulton, by the way, continuing his thing that he always wears bandanas no matter what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Find a way to wear a black bandana no matter the situation.
You think he should have done the done the old train robber routine and put it around his face? But he's like, no, still over the head. Like,
yeah, I just find it funny. Everyone else is wearing hats except for Julie, because she doesn't want to hide her hair. But like everybody else is wearing hats except for him who's got a bandana on. Sure, go with it. It's you. We can go with
I
it.
do also enjoy it as well, like the line. I think we skipped over it. I think I enjoy the giddy sort of like exuberance as it's delivered when they release the ants, and she's like, "Release the hungry fellows." It's like,
What is
it's
that?
I can't imagine that being in the script. I think that was just like, oh, I think maybe on the day she's like, oh, I can't say release the ants again. I'm gonna say like something different this time.
The funny part is you say that, and I'm like, that's her boyfriend sitting next to him. Like next to her, like, stay on her good side, dude. Stay on her good side. Oh man. So they run to the shower, and I love the fact they're just making shower jokes and shower puns for no reason now. So, like, okay. I was almost waiting for someone suddenly to don't drop the soap as a joke, but like nobody did that joke.
That's the thing. Who do you like? I guess in the end, there's no winner. If this is the final prank of the prank war,
it is.
Who do you
That's
think
fine.
won? Like in terms of it being a prank war, because like I think I think in terms of creativity, and I think potentially long-lasting damage, I think the Ducks easily won because that like friggin' liquid nitrogen thing was like that's tip top kind of stuff.
I did not expect that. That was something.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell did they get that? And then listening back, they explain it. Like they explain where they got it. I'm like, sure, I did not expect them to explain that.
I was wondering if it was.
They always explain where they got the stuff they got for their pranks. Like they always explain it.
Yeah. I do also wonder too of like the filmmakers were like when they're trying to think of pranks, like it was like, well, someone was watching Terminator 2. And they're like, did you see that? You remember that bit where they froze the T-1000 and they smashed into can we do that in our movie? like, oh yeah, well, yeah, freeze the friggin' Letterman jackets. And like, oh god, it totally works. It totally works.
But it's never explained though where they get new Letterman jackets. Like where do they get new jackets? It's never explained.
Unless you take them to be all preppy rich kids, it's like, well, friggin' money to burn. I guess they just go and buy another one the next day. But like, I would think if they were the same, from the same background as the Ducks, that would be a major blow because it's like, yeah, these clothes cost our parents money.
Exactly.
So you've actually like destroyed the valuable pieces because the Ducks got their clothes wet. It's like, yeah, you put them on a radiator, you're fine,
Or go to a dry cleaner and just throw it into the dryer. That's a couple of quarters, you're fine. Like it's not that big a deal. Like really, at the end of the day.
I think maybe that's why the Warriors had to like, we need to, because they can see the writing on the wall. It's like our pranks just aren't as good. We have to elevate this to something we can actually win. And be like, take it to the ice. Then we have a chance.
Yeah, they got a prank massively. It's like ridiculously bad. But don't forget our guy Cole, who was outside hogtied. I still want to know how he made it in the building. Like, how did he get here? Like, was the door unlocked still from when they came in? The fact that he's crawling in tied up and no one noticed him. Like, there's no security apparently at the school.
The security is just complete write-off. Although to be fair, it's an entertaining prank war, so maybe the security people are just like, no, let's let him go, just to see what happens.
There's a guy on a horse. There's a guy on a horse, just like a ranger. I don't know what's going on, but sure, we'll go with it.
Freaking sneak, like they stole liquid nitrogen. And we're like, we should go down and stop them. But it's like, let's see what they do with it first. Like,
what is happening with these kids? Like, what is going on?
Plus, how much does liquid nitrogen cost? Is the school not going like? There's like $2,000 worth like vat of this stuff has gone missing or something.
You can tell this is the era before like cameras in school.
Yeah.
None of this is proof. There's no proof that any of this happened. No proof of this.
Actually, in that locker room too. Like again, that's gonna be those ants are gonna be around for ages. And if some like the coach or whatever walks into the locker room, like that locker room is gonna be like, why is it frozen solid? What the hell happened?
Or
who did
they
this?
turn the heat up to defrost their lockers. Be like, why is it so hot in here? Like, why is the heat up?
Maybe at the school, like the dean looking over the school heating bill, like, wait a minute, what happened here? Exactly. I'm missing liquid nitrogen and the heating bill. Wait, those Ducks.
That's why they hate them so much. They're raising the bills.
That'd be great though. Like they actually had that as a scene where like Gordon comes in to do his legal thing later, and then they're like, "Mr. Bombay, did you know that they did all this?" And he's like, "Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I can't defend, but Your Honor, we fault."
Oh, it's so funny. That is fantastic. That's great. So we now they challenged him to this hockey game. Okay, cool. No refs, no coaches, just them. I can believe this 100%. Like I can totally go with this, except where the hell did the smoke come from? Who brought the
Yeah.
smoke machine?
I was actually going to ask you, like, oh, Blake's a hocky guy. He'll know. Is the mist on the ice in the early morning a thing or something?
Normal. This is not normal. Like, who brought the smoke machine for this game? Like,
But again, those Warriors are
like every other game. Like everything else in this entire movie takes place here. Like,
Yeah.
so who brought the smoke machine?
To be fair, though, it's like, they're going up against preppy rich kids. They might be like, oh, yes, we always have our smoke machine handy for dramatic matches,
Unless they have them for like entrances for like championship games or like banner raisings and
Yeah,
there you go. That's where it comes from. There's a smoke machine in the back for banner raisings because they have so many banners and they got to make a big deal out of it. So that's what they
just missing too. There was a whole laser show going on as well. That's how the coach knew to come. He's like, what the? Someone set off the lasers. I can see them coming in the sky.
I do like the detail, by the way. There's no lights on. They don't have the power to turn the lights on. It's dark. It's literally lit by the spotlights that are in here. Like I like those details because they didn't have to do that.
It is, I make fun of it for like realism's sake, but it is atmospheric at least. And I even enjoyed again too because we just did a whole season of on Batman Forever, and all the sound effects of like the like roller skates or the blades going across the ice really remind me of the beginning of that movie. You have Batman suiting up, and there is all these weird sound effects of like metal scraping along metal and stuff. And I was just like, that sounds exactly like Batman suiting up, like all the blades on the ice and stuff. I wonder if it's the same. And that's where they got the idea of Batman Forever. It's like, have you ever heard of friggin' an ice skate on ice? It's like, oh, or maybe Mighty Ducks were like, oh yeah, I saw Batman Forever last night, and it had these really cool sound effects of the friggin' blades going over the random metal and stuff.
You know what's funny is like I know when like Miracle came out, everyone was so impressed by like how realistic the hockey was. They did a good job in these movies. Like they forgot how good like the hockey scenes in these movies are. Like they are well done, and like the Foley work on these is fantastic. Like the detail work is so good. Like you forget that I think because this is a goofy movie, but like the hockey scenes are great.
Although, also will say as well, as a little, bringing up that minute, and people listen to the show will always know I'd be remiss if I didn't do it, and everything's connected. But this one, to be fair, is tenuous. But like Michael Cudlitz is his big thing he's got coming up is he's playing Paul Krendler in the Clarice Starling show they got coming out, which is they couldn't get Clarice on Hannibal, the TV show, because they were saving her for this apparently. And Paul Krendler was played memorably in the movie Hannibal by Ray Liotta. He's the guy who gets his freaking head cracked open and has to eat his own brain and stuff. And people listen to Batman at 89. Ray Liotta had this weird thing where, like, I think he was offered like every major role in the first Batman movie, and he turned them down. Like, can't really. It's impossible to get who exactly he was up for. It was either like some people say it was the Joker, which was like, I could buy that, or Batman himself could totally buy that, or Harvey Dent. And it's like, but whatever it was, like Ray Liotta said, yeah, I looked at it and I was supposed to talk to Tim Burton, but I was like, too silly to, Adam West stuff. I don't want that. And then clearly saw the movie, and 30 odd years later, it's just like, oh yeah, I probably should have done that.
So true. So true.
But there you go. Tenuously, but everything's connected.
So we cut. I do want to just make a note. Before I was talking about the kid that was going to star in the last movie, and this is him talking to Julie.
Oh.
It's the same guy. Like, how is this the same guy? According to IMDb, is it the same guy? Like, what? They do not look the same. I'm gonna have to do a side by side because there's no way this is the same guy.
That's crazy. He does look a bit like Dean from the Gilmore Girls. What's his name?
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
one of the Winchester brothers too from Supernatural. But like, I was like, oh, for a second, I was like, is that him? But tragically not. I don't know. Maybe he just showed like Michael Cudlitz is a 32-year-old man sneaking in playing a teenager.
Bro.
Maybe this guy's just like,
bro.
I mean, they didn't cast me, but maybe if I just show up, they'll be like, yeah, you can play. Like,
Why not?
Like, oh, weren't you in the last movie? No. Yeah.
Who knows?
Like,
we did have one of the teachers. The teachers in this movie is the principal for the first movie.
Oh my God.
And I went and said, I'm like, I can believe the headcanon that she just went to a different school. She just transferred to a different school. Like I can totally like there was the money, if you got more money, if you transferred to I believe that. You know what I mean? I can go with that as a thing.
See,
So
now I've got to. Are we sure Emilio Estevez is definitely playing Gordon Bombay? He's not just some other guy who shows up.
I can guarantee he's in this movie. I can guarantee that later on.
Because later on, like the dean is played by Josh Ackland. It's like, he's in the movie as a different part already. You can't just have him do this.
Oh yeah. But anyway, I do like the fact that Julie Gordon says, I don't like ties. They're like kissing your brother. That's a great line. That's a fantastic way of wording it. You know, like it's such a weird way of putting it.
Weird timing too is I don't know if you've seen recent hit show Ted Lasso with
I know it, but I haven't seen it.
It's really, really good. Really, for considering, you know, friggin' the world being a horrible place at the moment, it's such a heartwarming show. It's just like, oh yeah, I'd recommend it to everybody.
Okay.
But like, I'd never heard this expression like, oh yeah, a tie's like kissing your sister or whatever. And he says it several times throughout the show. He's like, oh, I hate ties. It's like kissing your sister. And at one point he says it that, you know, the whole plot line is he's an American guy, goes over to coach an English football team. And he says it at one point to them, and they're like, "Oh, what the hell?" And he's just like, "Is that not a phrase over here?" And like, "No, what's it? This disgusting." And it was just weird. I watched that last week for the first time, and then at the end of the week, watched Mighty Ducks. I was like, "What is it with this friggin'? Oh, it's like kissing your brother or kissing your sister phrases."
That's a line that I remember. I forgot. I think it was a couple of years ago in the NFL. There was a Vikings tie, and I looked through a bunch of but my wrestling podcasts are based in Minnesota, so they talk Vikings every so often, and they're going to say, "Yeah, we just dealt with this tie. It was like kissing my brother." I'm like, "What? How is that still a sentence in 2020 in 2019?"
I think this was like one guy said it, and somehow it's people thought it was a thing, and so and every single person who hears it is like, "What the hell is that?" But somehow now it's spreading. It's like oh, it's just attaching to people. Like everyone assumes it's a phrase, but it's not.
Boy, if you say it enough, it's a phrase, you know. But I guess it's different though coming from a girl than coming from a guy though too though. Like it's different coming from her than coming from a guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Although, like I say, I'm not a sports fan, but I can appreciate the sentiment too, because it's like, yeah, if I sat down to watch something and it was a tie, you would be like, what's the point?
I've been to games that have ended in ties, and it's not fun. Like I won one tie Devils game one time. It's like, that's it. It's over. It's over.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, weird. You know, might as well have just been 0-0, and then
it was
like it would make a difference.
Game to end. I'm like, it's over. We're not continuing the game. We're not going to like continue on. Yeah. I've been like. Now I understand the shootout rule of the NHL because they don't want games like that anymore.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
We'll move on. So Averman really needs to shut up once in a while. Averman really had to shut up because he's still making ant jokes. I mean, can you tell they're not in the mood for this anymore? They're you up. Why are you still making these jokes?
At the same time, though, like if he hadn't said anything, I would assume, oh, it's just a spotty teenager. I wouldn't just like, oh, they're ant bites. I don't know. I get it to the fact he's bringing that up, but it's like normally I'll be like, yeah, teenagers have acne, man. That's gonna happen. But then it's like, oh no, it's specifically from the ant bites. Now I get it.
And this continues the trend, by the way, of Banks. He did not know about the pranks until they happened. So he's trying to tell Charlie that. And Charlie does not believe him. I cannot blame Charlie here at all. I really can't. Normally, I'm not on the side of Charlie with his hatred of Banks over the years, but this one I completely understand where he's coming from.
Is there any, maybe I missed it, is there any sort of apology to Banks, or does he come, like, did they mention that he's back on the team or something at one point? Because it seems like it's not addressed.
Later on, they give him, the varsity gives him back to the Ducks. They actually they take Banks, and I think they said after this game, when they have the whole trial later, which I'll talk about later, obviously, they go and say it is unfair because you had one of our own, and they go and say take Banks back. He was never a warrior anyway. So that's how he ends up back on the Ducks. So unless it's put that in the script, then you put that in the script. I'm like, okay, at least you explained it. Like, okay, fine. But there's no apology.
You say you're on Charlie's side here. I felt really bad for Banks. He is trying to explain himself, and it's like, oh shit, get out of here, preppy. And it's like, what? Like, you're supposed to be his boy, man. What are you doing? And then the fact that like he Banks suffered through the prank war. Basically, he had this all landed on like not only did he see this happen to his friends, he had his friends retaliate against him when he did nothing wrong, and then there's no apology scene. They should have been like unless there was a scene scripted and they didn't film it or something, of him coming back into the Ducks fold. Because now it's just like, okay, well apparently you assholes will just turn on me and on a dime. I'm on a different team. You'll just completely. He got his freaking. They at one point said like, oh, what about Banks when they were freezing the clothes? And they're like, whatever. And he probably had to go back to his parents and be like, yeah, all my clothes have been frozen by my friends. Apparently, it's like what horrible treatment of him. I couldn't believe that this was an unresolved plot point. That like that guy deserves a big apology cake. There needed to be a scene of him going like, yeah, right now he's back, or have him fully go to the other team and go like, I've been betrayed by the Ducks. I need to, like, and then have maybe later on it's hard they win him back or something. But it seems like it was a random plot point that was just sort of like, oh, we need to fill 2 minutes of screen time.
They do that all the time with Banks though. They do that with Banks. Like the first movie, they made this whole big stink at him leaving the Hawks and going to the Ducks, and by the end of the movie, it's forgotten. And then like in the second movie, they make this whole big thing about Banks being scouted by people, and then it's forgotten. Like, it's like Banks has these storylines that happen, and then they're forgotten by the end.
This is like bizarre, like, oh, it's like avant-garde screenwriting where we set up something and we don't pay it off. Like, but only for one character. Everything else has like about as resolute an ending as you can get, except this one guy in every movie will introduce a plot for him and never bring it to a close.
All three movies have a Banks storyline that have no culmination. All three movies. I just realized that. Single one of them.
It'd be great though, like the TV show is just like, every week like people doing the TV recaps and like, what's gonna happen to Banks next week? Because like the show doesn't seem to be resolving what's going on with this plot.
I wonder if they're going to explain some stuff in there that was never explained, like they do in Cobra Kai, where they just like throw in like random Karate Kid stuff that doesn't make any sense, but they're explaining something that happened in the movie, like explaining something or patching up a loophole or something.
I was thinking, like season finale is like, oh my god, somebody shot Banks, and then season 2 he's just back. Just like there's no one mentioned that he's like, wasn't he shot or something? Like
I feel like that was the end of the 13 Reasons Why season. That was the end of that. Where somebody shot himself and the next is like, oh, he's alive. That never happened. That never happened. Like what? Oh my god. So okay, I'm remembering people, there is no referee, there's no coaches, it's just a bunch of kids playing hockey.
Yeah.
And
I think this is literally the reason referees exist, is for games like intense grudge matches where these people want to kill each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, you probably need somebody there to go calm it down.
Especially because he goes and says it's a 1st to 10, fair, okay? Full check. And you should know they're in trouble. Trouble now the minute that was said. Oh, shit. Oh man! By the way, I do like the fact that they have this whole like stick choreography for no reason whatsoever.
Oh yeah. I thought is that just not a thing in every?
No.
I thought that was like, that's standard. You do the tap to the sticks every time, because I thought that was cool. I was like, I get, that'd be a cool way to start off every game.
That's only in this movie. I've never seen that in any other movie, in any game, even like joke stuff. I've never seen that happen.
Oh man!
Like I see the Flying V show up in like joke NHL stuff, but I've never seen that. Legitimate.
So I encourage any hockey players listening, please work that into your repertoire, because I think that should be a standard opening of a game.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, the NHL was doing their All-Star festivities, and they're doing like they have these like cool like the players get to do whatever they want, do whatever you want, just make sure you get a shot on net. Like do whatever you want, and the fans are gonna vote. They did a Flying V. I'm like, wait, where did this come from? They did a Flying V. They took off jerseys. They're wearing Ducks jerseys. I'm like, what is going on? It's so bizarre. But it was fun as hell. Like, it was such a cool moment.
I enjoy, though, a bit of, I'll say diplomacy, but like we do have, before the game even starts as well, though, there's a little interaction with the Goldberg. And, they have a sub in goalies, but I enjoy the quickness of the compromise, because like Julie's just like, coach says I'm the lead goalie. And then coach,
Yeah.
I don't see no coach. But then she's instantly, we'll split the shifts, and it's just like
They've
understood.
also
Like,
had
yeah,
this
that's
little
fine.
mini rivalry going on. They've had this little mini rivalry going on this whole movie. And I think this is where it ends. Their little storyline they've been doing, where it's like they have this little storyline how like Goldberg's trying to get her out of net for some reason. I don't know why, but this is like the end of that, where it's like, fine, we're on the same page, we're on the same team.
This is, with the same energy as like an end game when friggin' Tony Stark pulls up outside, the Avengers mansion, and he's just like Captain America, just like, resentments, like Venom Cap, and they're just like, yeah, all that stuff from Civil War is just forgot about. We're best friends again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, this is just like, oh, the rivalry with Goldberg and Julie, just like, we'll split the shifts. It's like, oh, there you go. That's resolved.
Yeah, exactly. Here's your shield. It's over.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, at the time of that, I was just like, oh, it's gonna be a whole thing throughout the whole movie. It's like, no, they got thick. These guys, no, they're tight. I guess they're like, all right, didn't even have to say sorry. It was just like, all right, it's understood. We're fine.
So we get to the game, and poor Connie and Guy, they get crushed to start this thing. Like, they just get completely trampled. Ouch! Like, how did they think that was going to be a good idea? By the way, like, he's like. Both of you combined height-wise, like, why was that a good idea? To Goldberg's credit, he's trying so damn hard, but
the puck. I don't know how telegraphed the move was, because it seems it's like, where else is the guy going to go except between your legs? But like, it's just like, yeah, Goldberg just too slow, just goes down a little too slowly there. But
so we end our minutes with the flying V. And this will be the last time I think we see the flying V in this franchise, because they don't do it again. This is the last time, and they crush it. They literally crush it.
What a way to see it end. Just that was the end of the flying V, I guess.
Yeah, we will never see it again. I know it did not happen again in this movie. So
guarantee though, Mighty Ducks TV show, that's gonna be
100%.
That'll be like the season 1 finale. It's like, there's a move we know from back in the day that'll definitely work.
It'll be in the movie, 100%. But that is where we end things with the flying V getting destroyed, and the Varsity,
much like the Star Trek Enterprise blowing up in Star Trek 3, with the flying V getting crumbled.
Yeah, it's a weird moment, because like, this is 3 movies, and then it's like, oh shit, we're gonna end it. We're gonna completely destroy. It's like in Mandalorian where they blew up the ship. Like, oh shit, we're gonna do this? Really, we're doing this? Okay. We're just bringing up shows. We're just bringing up all the shows we watch, obviously.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm happy to talk about the Mandalorian for the next hour if you want.
Oh, I could do that, but I'm not doing that today. Ask anybody. I know how much I love that show. So, well, after we end our 5 minutes, and a lot happened in these 5 minutes. We had a lot go on. I always get you in these cool 5 minutes. I think it might be the first time I actually got you in for hockey, though. It might be the first time we've actually come to talk about hockey.
That is true. Yeah. That's actually because I've been getting geared up for like next season of Batman too. Like one of my best friends was always on every season, Gaz Flint, and it was just like, he's just like, when are you starting? It's like, oh, we're starting, soon. And he's just like, if you got my minutes yet? It's like, I don't know, whatever you want. He's just like, get me a minute that actually has Batman in it, would you? Like, what do you mean? He's like, I've been in 3 seasons. I've never seen the guy. Like, I'm always a non-Batman minute. I was like, all right. So I guess you get the Flintstones down the goddamn Brontosaurus bit or whatever.
That is so funny. That's fantastic. All right. Well, that is that. What's actually, before we get to plugs, our question for this season that we've been asking everybody is crazy or fun high school stories. So Niall, I'll throw it to you. Do you have anything for us?
That's the thing. Like, I felt like I was a really boring guy though, because when I seen that in the notes, I was just like, oh man, I don't think like I got into any antics until like after school. Like, we got stuff like, oh yeah, like we freaking sank a boat and stuff way when I was in my 20s. Like, but most of my teenage stuff was just like, we would go and like, because we're Irish children, we'd go and drink under a bridge. Was like for my teenage years, but people would just go, like, there was a designated bridge that was understood as like, yeah, that's when you're like 13 through 18. when you can't drink legally, people will sneak down onto this bridge.
Wow.
And that was like, oh yeah, the antics would happen under there, but there was never anything. There was never any like putting ants into anyone's bedrooms or anything.
Crazy though.
And
Like,
like, you know, we
we
did
had
things like we would sneak into the school when it wasn't open and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything ever exciting. So I felt like when I saw the questions, like I feel really dull now. Like I've
oh,
got
you're
no.
fine. You're fine. Well, the funny part is we didn't do that under a bridge. We had like a friend's house that we can go drink at. And the
Oh,
parents were rarely home. So it's like they didn't care. That we drank.
I would have appreciated that in cold winter nights when it was just like when the freaking everyone was just like, no, that's the only place you can go is under this bridge. And then we actually saw it during when they started announcing all the lockdowns and stuff, and there's like, all the pubs are closed. Where are people going to go to drink? And I was like, I was an Irish child. Like I spent my entire teenage years drinking in friggin' blizzards, standing outside. Pubs been closed isn't a problem for me. I hope like as long as it's somewhere with the people will gather, then we'll be fine. But of course now, please do not gather if it is done so illegally.
What's funny about it is that like I had a thought, completely lost it. Completely lost what I was gonna say. No big deal. Well, let's just move on. Niall, why don't we get your plugs and you've been talking about your show, but tell people where you can find it.
Oh yeah, so I do Bat Minute, and it's available on all good podcatchers and Spotify now, I believe, as well. And yeah, you get us on Twitter, just Bat Minute. We're on Instagram as the Bat Minutes, and on Facebook we have the Bat Minute Listeners Cave. And this season, we're gearing up now to to scrape the bottom of the barrel. We're on Batman and Robin finally. There's that thing where like when we're doing 89, I was like, we'll have to do that eventually. I was like, that's future Niall's problem. Because screw that guy. And now I'm here. It's like, oh Christ. Yeah. So we actually have to talk about it. But to be fair, I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot to talk about with that film.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being on the show. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even care when I come in, but I know there's gonna be so much to talk about.
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be stuff to bring up as it goes. And people, yeah, and when Blake, you were on season 3 for Batman Forever, and of course, yeah, more than welcome back next year. I would say next year, the imminent recording of season 4.
Dude, in 2021. There you go.
But yeah, so yeah, we're if you Google Batman, you will find the show.
Yes, and of course I'll have the links in the notes here for people to go follow the show. Next week I will have returning All-Star Travis Bow and newcomer to the show Leandra Lynn coming on next week's show. So that'll be a lot of fun to continue this game and the destruction of the Ducks pretty much in the next 5 minutes. As for this show, if you're just finding us in random places, we are all over the place. Every single time I look at my website, we're at a different location. It feels like we're everywhere. So I keep trying to promote new places, and I think I'm going to throw out Audible. Go to Audible, where you listen to your books, and find this show. And also the Blake and Sal Show, which is my other show I do every single solitary Friday. We don't miss weeks. We do not miss any time on that show, no matter what's going on. We talk wrestling, we talk sports, we talk entertainment. There's a lot of fun over there. And we have guests all over the place. I know your co-host John comes on once in a while to talk to us so often when we have a chance. And we have a lot of fun. Go to theblakeandsalshow.com for more information on that. So that all being said, let's get out of here. Niall, we're hitting the hour mark, which is about the time we usually end our show. So
yeah, no problem. Actually, yeah, because this will be me for the Mighty Ducks. So thanks for having me for this mighty journey.
Yes.
Blake, and yeah, happy to. I think. Oh wait, no, I was going to say I think this might be the first time I've covered an entire franchise as a guest, but no, we did the Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, there you go.
Spider-Man trilogy too. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm glad you came back for all 3 seasons.
No. Okay, whatever show you're doing afterwards, if you choose to do another movie analysis minute by minute or chunk by chunk or whatever, happy to come on for that too. So,
as people will learn at the end of the season, I have plans.
Nice. Okay.
I have plans, and people will find that out at the end of the season. Trust me, I have some stuff up my sleeve that some people know about and some people do not. So there is stuff up my sleeve. I might not do this format, but I do have ideas.
Okay, yeah. So, I think a lot of people are doing that. Like, not to talk too much shop, but like, I think that's where we're leaning post Batman and Robin. This is like, will we do the Nolan movies minute by minute? Like, they're very long, and there already is a Dark Knight minute, but we might do them like 10-minute chunks or like do
Mhm.
mix up the format a bit and
I
stuff. I
have
think a
ideas.
lot of people are starting to do it now.
Yeah, it's just like I think because this is exhausting. This is
It is.
absolutely
It is a real like
exhausting.
it's
And
it's
I get
fun,
the
but
tough
it's
part is for me, like as I get older, my son
mm,
gets older. And like my wife has been together for a long time. Like I've been podcasting for between this and other shows I do for 8 years. That's a
mm,
long time. That's a
yeah.
long time to be doing this. Like, and me and my wife just we celebrated 15 years together. So like
Oh,
it's like she's been putting up with this for a long time. So if I start doing some other projects, she'll be happy with me. Like let's leave it at that. Instead of doing like 20 episode projects, she's gonna be very happy if I do smaller projects.
yeah, yeah.
So let's get out of here. Niall, I will talk to you later. And all those who are listening, thank you all for listening. And we'll be back next week. So have a good day, everybody. All right, we're out. Let me stop recording.